Dane, I've got 3 questions for you. Are you tired of getting dicked down by BlackRock?
I am.
Are you tired of Facebook selling off your identity?
Oh, definitely that.
Are you tired of doing 100% of the work and only getting 50% of the pay, Dane?
Yes.
Well, you should come to Weapons of Meme Destruction podcast episode number 123 to find out more on how to not let you get dicked down, information stolen, and obviously half of your pay.
That's right.
Did I follow that up right?
Yeah, I think it was good.
Okay, you want to jump in?
Tied it together really well.
All right. Yeah.
Welcome to Weapons of Meme Destruction podcast episode 123, which can be found at wmdpodcast.com/123. You can get the podcast audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. You can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and I have been recently informed that me lumping in the newer platform Float with those other video platforms is incorrect, because Float is more of a competitor with Facebook than YouTube. So if you want video on those, yes, David, questions, thoughts, concerns?
I forgot in the pre-roll. We didn't mention that we got our second strike.
We can do that now.
We'll do that. You want to do the post or you want to do
Can I do the thing?
I just wanted to see how professional you are.
I'll do the thing and then
do the thing and then we'll get to the thing.
So anyway, the video can be found on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. And then if you want to link up with us, just join the larger Sane Space. Float would go in that same category as Facebook, where you can get in the private members-only Facebook page at just $5 a month of support. But you can also link up with us for free on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Wherever you find us, please like, subscribe, share, get in those comment sections. We appreciate all that algo boosting activity you so dutifully do for us. And
duty do.
So as David was alluding to, we have a little bit more information on us potentially being nuked from one of those platforms. I'll let David fill in the details before I jump back in.
I have details?
I thought so.
I have detailed files.
You're the one that remembered it.
Well, I was just, it came to me because I was sitting there totally engaged in the World Cup, as we all are, duh. And I got a little textification, a little groupie text from he who must not be named on this podcast, saying that we picked up our second strike on YouTube's on an episode that had to deal with predominantly the president. And it said that I forget the exact terminology because it's on the thing that's recording me right now, but it was something to the effect of YouTube will not allow misrepresentation of COVID's virility or its existence.
Which we're not going to get into the details of here because
one
more strike
never
and
say.
We are
so from here on, I think we have an upstanding agreement between all of us that we're never going to say the words COVID and 19 or COVID-19 or C-19, which sounds like a boy band,
or sticky medical procedure thing that you should or should not have.
Or anything else that the algorithm might think that we even possibly interpreted as such as to be corollary to, not for withstanding within the realms of. So, if you want to find segments that we do talk about that, we have a plan.
Exactly. As we said a couple episodes ago when we got our first strike, and we're going to reiterate for those of you who have been here since then and for the newbies, this is our plan of action because we don't want to lose YouTube as a platform because it still is the primary video platform and we still want to grow organically over there. So we clearly can't talk like adults on YouTube because the overlords over there don't want that to happen. So we just will not upload any content on YouTube that has to do with that subject matter. If you want to get that stuff, go find us on Rumble and Odyssey. Please, even if you haven't gone to those platforms before, go there now. Subscribe to us there, because one day you might wake up looking for your weapons meme destruction podcast that you love and adore over there on YouTube, and our page is completely gone. Well, you can find us over there. But in the meantime, while we still do have a YouTube presence, any episode that contains that information is going to be only on Rumble and Odyssey. And what will stand in on YouTube, so let's say this episode had COVID in it, which it doesn't, but let's say that it did, there would just be it'll say 123 on YouTube, and we'll put text on a black screen that just says, if you want this episode, go over to Rumble and Odyssey. Can't post it here because YouTube sucks donkey balls.
Which they're totally cool with us saying. Things about a virus. They're like, no, never. We can literally post a video that says YouTube sucks donkey balls. We're like, totally cool. Yeah. Maybe we do. We don't know. But COVID, not so much.
It's a crazy mixed up world we're living in these days. But that is our plan of attack, because we don't want to lose our YouTube platform.
What other business allows
until we're
you
so big that it doesn't matter?
To promote another competitor's business on their fucking business?
Listen, as we discussed much further ago, whatever went down at CERN about a decade past, we don't know, but we're on some weird ass timeline shit, and we're just trying to find our way in this crazy mixed up timeline that we're on.
Wait a second.
And this is our plan to do it.
I don't know if we have a North Star yet, but we're working towards it, by God. Anyway.
But if you are a part of the broader sane space, whether you regularly get your content on YouTube or not, let this be a lesson to you that we've mentioned several times before. Please follow us on every platform you can. But most of all, the most important thing is to go over to our website, wdpodcast.com. Right there on the homepage, you'll see a button to join our email list. Don't worry, we don't blast you with email constantly. But that
we're going to hit you with, full transparency, you're going to get an inundation of make your dick bigger pills advertisements, but it's just to make this thing work.
Maybe at some point in the future when we're paid to do that, we might. But
sexy local singles in your area.
The most valuable aspect of that is the one thing that can't be taken away from us. We will always have the email list. So if some apocalyptic day comes and we're nuked from every page simultaneously, and you're like, man, I followed them on all the video channels just like they said, and I still can't get them. In that unlikely event, we will always have that email list. We'll be able to shoot you an email and say, hey, sorry, we got whack-a-mole over here. We're popping up over there. So, do that. Follow all the other pages, like, subscribe, share, yada, yada, yada. We love you. We thank you. And we hope that we are still long for the YouTube in particular platform, because there's no guarantee. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
But trust us, we're like herpes. We're always going to come back, just in a different form. Anywho, with that illustrious image still resonating in their minds, Dane, what's the first Culture Corner, or what's the Culture Corner segment for this episode?
So we're talking about our lovely home state of Florida, just winning again and again. And this time, what Florida has done is they have divested $2 billion of Florida pension fund assets from BlackRock. And for those of you who don't know, BlackRock is, if it's not the largest...
One more time.
It's one of the... BlackRock.
There we go. Thank you.
It is one of the largest asset managers in the world. I want to say it's in... Yes, BlackRock manages $8 trillion of assets. So for those of you, doing quick maths at home, $2 billion is not a lot, but
it's enough.
The point is, it's sending a message. It's about sending a message.
Where's the Italian?
And so what Florida has done is it has removed $2 billion that it had previously invested with BlackRock to have managed. because what BlackRock is engaged in with a lot of large multinational corporations is what's called ESG investments. And what ESG stands for is environmental, social, and corporate governance. And basically what these policies are is, just like the name suggests, if you're down with the climate agenda and you're pushing your corporate policies in that direction, BlackRock likes you and they want to invest in you. If you're down with the social, narrative that's pushed down everybody's throats, whether it be diversity hires or LGBT or any other thing that's in that general sphere, BlackRock loves you. They're going to invest in you. Or the corporate governance, which is just this, having stakeholders as opposed to just purely investors in the corporate structure, and you're pushing in that direction of governing your corporations. BlackRock likes you, they're going to invest in you. But the thing about these policies, they have absolutely precisely dick all to do with business. When you're investing in a company based on ESG standards, you're not looking at what is their core business function. Are they going to grow money? Are they a solid company, et cetera, et cetera. And BlackRock and a lot of these woke asset managers and stuff like that are funneling money into companies based on these criteria, as opposed to what's your balance sheet look like? What are your profit margins? Are you growing your customer base, et cetera, et cetera? Good, sound financial reasons to invest in a business. And so Florida says, we don't trust you to manage our money and make it grow. We're going to take it away.
Well, this is so unruly, especially after there wasn't a huge, I almost want to call it a global scandal in the cryptocurrency market.
Oh, it's definitely global.
And maybe Florida's doing the, dare I say it, the right thing by looking at where its money is lying and then divesting in things that may or may not be following the same suit as other FTXs have foregone in the past, and just voted or delineated its monetary value to different aspects that it believed in ideologically, and didn't bother to look at their books or do anything, or perhaps launder any money for any particular geopolitical standing. So what I'm saying is, when did Florida stop being Florida man?
Do all the sensible stuff.
Eating people's faces and shitting on oncoming traffic, track back to all of our aforementioned episodes, and start doing the realistic, sensible things of watching where their money's going and divesting in companies that are practicing unsafe, dare I say it, volatile investments based solely on speculation. It seems prudent, doesn't it? It almost seems like Florida's being prudent. Is that... Ew. A state known for cocaine distribution and corrupt cops and eating men's faces and shitting on oncoming traffic and alligators killing babies is being prudent. What a weird fucking world we live in. If CERN didn't hit hard, I'm telling you, man, it's so weird. Everything just changed on 2015. But go ahead, Dane.
And here's the key takeaway before we move on to the Epstein didn't kill himself segment. Is the reason why this is in the culture corner is because it's, the surface level aspect of it is obvious, right? This is just another, mega corporation of the super powerful elite, right? The asset managers at BlackRock, in bed with governments around the world to push whatever their prevailing narrative is, whether it's climate change or, like I said, with the social aspect and all that kind of stuff. And in this environment, right, the same leftist screechers that would say, pre-Elon purchase, it's a private company, they can do whatever they want, they can ban whatever they want, right? They uphold these principles of the free market when they think it's going to go in their favor, but then they'll turn around and they'll say to people like David and I, people that are, more freedom oriented, that kind of thing, is they'll say, well, why don't your ideas win in the free market of ideas? Well, when you have one of the biggest asset managers in the world managing $8 trillion, basically saying, we're not going to invest in your company if you don't get in line and get in lockstep with us on whatever the prevailing narrative is. Then there is no quote unquote free market of ideas or free market in the economy, period. They are telling you in no uncertain terms, you will be starved of capital. You will not be able to start up, let alone compete with the companies that we're going to support and back on arbitrary standards, like whether or not they are sufficiently in line with climate change policy around the world. You don't get a seat at the table if you don't get in line and have the opinions that we've told you that you need to have. And they're doing it in open and blatant violation of their fiduciary duties to do what's in the best interest of their investors. So a prudent investor, as the state of Florida in this context is, say, I don't trust you to grow my wealth. And, for the lefties who are all about public pension funds and make sure that we take care of the government employees when they retire, it should be something, what Florida did is exactly what you should be getting behind. If Florida is worried that their public employees that go into retirement aren't going to have their pension funds because BlackRock blew it on company X, Y, and Z that had all the right opinions on climate change, but while doing that, they forgot to grow their business, those employees are going to be left out in the cold. So, the culture is very aggressively being pushed to get in line with whatever the prevailing narrative is. And even in the so-called free market, that's not taking place. ESG is just an example of that. And it's good to see Florida and other states finally push back.
To surmise it, free speech is cool until you disagree with us. And then all of a sudden, you're Hitler. Democracy is at risk until we win the election. Then we saved it. But moving on, Dane, after we got our rocks off with BlackRocks, it's Facebook fog time. And as weird as that sounds, the fog of war, you're asking, David? What is this fog? What is this fog? It's almost like they named their company after the fog of war.
Yeah.
Did I accidentally stumble upon
I think you did.
A little truffle of truth?
You did.
A truth truffle, if I can coin a phrase?
So what we're bringing you today is an article from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which was published at the end of August this year, so a few months ago. And, this was recorded in the first week of December 2022, and so this was from August. And what they're writing about is a company called Fog Data Science. And if I could nutshell TLDR, this little Epstein didn't kill himself segment for you, think of Fog Data as kind of like the middleman for your information flowing from your activity on your generally smartphones, but it could be computers, whatever. But any app you participate with, whether it be Twitter, the use of your phone, text messages, Facebook, any other social media app on your phone, that data that we're all aware of, that those companies and those apps are constantly collecting on you, they don't sell that data directly to the government necessarily, but Fog Data says, we'll take it from you. We'll put it in a nice little package, put a bow on it, and we'll sell it to your local police department so they can track you. So Facebook's hands are clean. They're not selling your dirty data, directly to the police department, but Fog Data Science is doing exactly that.
What else do they have to do? Do you have to name a company Dick? Direct, integrated, citizens cucking? I know cuck is it'd be DICC, but it'd still be Dick. Like how much do they have to screw you over and name something so blatantly that you can't think that it's doing anything other than what it's doing? It's adding a fog to what Facebook is designed to do, which is what the intelligence agencies. Hold on. Did I put my tin cap on yet?
I think we should probably make some for these types of instances.
Like, it's like the Patriot Act. They used to name it the opposite. Now they're just naming it what it is. It's like fog. Like, What is it? I'm assuming it's an acronym for something.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that in the article, but David's mention of the Patriot Act is jumping the shark a little bit in the sense that is the Epstein moment. I mean, there's much more than just the Patriot Act. You know, the U.S. government has been using underhanded methods to spy on American citizens for much, much longer than the Patriot Act. They just, kind of turned it up to 11 with the Patriot Act.
But yourself, and this is what I always had that icky feeling, and not to espouse or aggrandize any amount of intelligence over here. I'm just a normal dude that's just as dumb as Dane. But anyway, I always felt like social media was always going to turn into self-monetization because you're always taking pictures. You're always showing them where you're at. You're always showing them what you're doing. You're always writing posts about how you're feeling. You're always doing things. There's always data points that they're collecting on you. Not to mention the fact that, and that was back in 2006 when it first came out. Like now, fast forward to 2010, you could geograph your picture. And now 2022, you get a phone, you have 3 applications on it, and one of them is Facebook. And guess what Facebook's doing? Monitoring every fucking thing you do, whether you want it to or not, because you have to accept its terms and policies. And has anyone ever read the terms and policies on the Facebook website? Anyone? Please.
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Is it
one of these days? I'm just going to do a YouTube live, assuming we still have a platform.
Well,
I'm just going to go through. I'm not going to read syllable for syllable on the terms and conditions. I'm just going to highlight some of the things that you're agreeing to, which are the worst. Now, does that mean that you'll get completely off the site? I think that's probably the smart thing for all of us to do. But we all know that, its tentacles run deep. And, like I use it as a news aggregator. I hardly use it to keep up with friends anymore. I use it because I follow Fox and CNN and the Ron Paul Liberty Report and everything in between to try to get kind of a global picture of whatever the particular news story is from a bunch of different perspectives. That's the way I use Facebook. But should I get rid of it because of stuff like this? Absolutely I should. And so should you. But, like David said, it's on the phone as soon as you buy it. So you have to take the affirmative step to delete it off there. And then you have to do it in such a way that you make sure it's not running in the background, or else they're going to be collecting this data on you anyway, whether you're using it or not. So I was going to read just a couple short paragraphs from this article, but you can get the rest of it at wdpodcast.com/123, or in the description on these videos. But before I do that, David, did you have anything else you wanted to say before I just read a couple paragraphs from this article?
Fuck Facebook.
Yes.
There you go.
So
it is what you thought it was. Anyway,
the first one kind of gives an overview of what fog data science is, and then the second one is going to tell you basically how this function works that we've been describing to you. So the first one about what fog data science is. So the company, and this is a quote from the article, the company has claimed in marketing materials that it has, quote, billions of data points about over, quote, 250 million devices, and that its data can be used to learn about where its subjects work, live, and associate. Fog sells access to this data via a web application called Fog Reveal. That lets customers point and click to access detailed histories of regular people's lives. This panoptic surveillance apparatus is offered to state highway patrols, local police departments, and county sheriffs across the country for, get this, less than $10,000 a year. So not only is the barrier to entry for government to get this information on you so super low, but even that $10,000 they're using to pay Fog to get access to it is, guess what? Your tax dollars. They're using your own money
to
spy on you. I mean, there's no shocker there, but
okay, here's the human moment within this. For the 10 people that watch this in America,
wait.
20 people in Australia.
Give us some credit, okay?
Yeah, mate.
The Socceroos. On to the round of 16.
I bet you aren't sharing it with your blokes that are mates that are women, Anyway, I think that was I think that was British at the end. Sorry, Australia.
Yeah, you kind of lost it
I
there.
lost it there, but don't share it with the women because God knows they didn't do nothing for you. Anyway, moving on. Sorry for the misogyny. My point being is that now you know. And of all the 30 people that know about this now, here becomes the human dilemma. You know that they're doing what you thought they were doing. Will you delete it off your phone? Will you uninstall it? Will you take that grievance upon yourself by being removed from that particular social construct or being removed from all those platitudes that it offers for your own safety?
Well, but here's the thing. We're hitting Facebook and they deserve it, but it's not just
everything.
Facebook. It's every social media app you can think of. And even if not that, it's using the geolocation feature of your phone.
Google
itself.
Your
if you keep a phone in your
email.
pocket for no other reason than to, let's say you have a teenage son or daughter and you want them to have a phone so that you can contact them if you're worried about where they're at, what happened, yada, yada, yada. If you're just using your phone for nothing but that, but it is a modern smartphone, you are probably being tracked through this application, which is then being shared with your local police department.
You know what fucks me up every month? At the end of every month, I get an email from in my Gmail account from Google.
Oh, Google
Maps.
is another one of the apps that they get data from. Anyway, sorry.
It tells me where I've gone throughout the month.
Fog has that information about you. And then therefore also so does your local police department.
It's like, we know where you went.
Do you feel bad about where you went?
It's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I don't even remember where I went. Like, maybe I went to a sketchy neighborhood. Maybe I cheated on my wife. Don't tell her. Anyway, all I'm saying is that I don't even remember where I went that whole month, but Google does.
Right.
Which means that everyone does if they really want to know. That's a problem. And if you're one of those motherfuckers that says, I don't care, I have nothing to hide. Wait until this next segment. And I tell you what, there's no amount of virtue that's going to save you from where we're going. Everybody's a criminal until they're not. Dane, any last comments on this?
Yes. So the second paragraph and the last one that I'm going to read from the article, and like I said, you can read the full one on your own. Just come to our various platforms to find the link. This is basically how it works. Quote, in materials provided to law enforcement, FOG states that it has access to a, quote, near real-time database of billions of geolocation signals derived from smartphones. It sells subscriptions to a service which the company usually billed as, quote, FOG Reveal, that lets law enforcement look up location data in its database through a website. The smartphone signals in FOG's database include latitude, longitude, timestamp, and a device ID. The company can access historical data reaching all the way back to June of 2017. So here's the thing. Here's the key takeaway. We already gave you the Epstein moment. This really got turned up to 11 with the Patriot Act. Obviously Snowden and the NSA spying was derivative of the Patriot Act. But the government has been doing this for a long period of time. This is nothing new. The tools they have at their disposal now, like FOG data science, really
would have made Stalin come in his pants.
Yes, exactly. And they have no qualms about using it. And like I said, the key takeaway, here's where we go from theory and hypotheticals to actual practice. Here's what this really means. First of all, Fourth Amendment right to unreasonable search, be protected from unreasonable search and seizures, to make law enforcement actually have to get a warrant to spy on you and get information from you before they can do it. That's out the window. This is all warrantless surveillance, right? So first of all, Fourth Amendment is basically nothing more than an ink blot in the Constitution from here forward. Second of all, your First Amendment right to free speech and other rights that people don't often associate with the First Amendment, but are there, is your right to redress your grievances with your government. What does this mean? This means if you want to attend a protest, right? If you want to go to a Black Lives Matter protest and protest police violence, well, the police know that you were there. And they can come and harass you because they know that you were there. And if you want to protest anything else, whether it's January 6th or a BLM riot,
I like that you brought that up, by the way.
In either case, if you were there, the police are using this to find out that you were there to harass you later. So any First Amendment right that you actually have to redress your grievances with your government is purely illusory, because now you risk being a target of your local police department because they don't like what you went and protested. That's where this goes. It renders the Constitution essentially completely inert. And, they're just doing it for the low fee of $10,000 a year of your money.
You think that we're being tin hatty right here. How did all those people get arrested from January 6th?
I think it was Parler got compromised. They were all using Parler. And then I can't remember if Parler turned the information over to law enforcement or something like
compromised that. Or compromised?
Yeah, I mean.
And then facial recognition.
Yeah.
So quick. Like, again, like, if you think that you're looking at your phone and it's recognizing your face, and that's not being downloaded. Fingerprints to open your phone. If you think that's not being downloaded, guys. Anyway, I don't want to go any further down this fucking tinfoil hatted.
I mean, but before we go on, the last thing I want to say is, like, the first thing, this is why they say knowledge is power. The first thing is knowing that this exists. Now, with the knowledge, you as an individual can decide if you want to, delete these apps or whatever. But even more importantly than that is you magnify this. Because I'll bet you if you ask 10 of your closest friends and family if they know that this is even a thing that exists, people might think, oh, yeah, well, they're probably doing it. But, here's the concrete facts.
I have nothing to hide.
That takes as the old saying goes, what's a conspiracy theory these days? It's just a spoiler alert. Now we can take it out of the realm of are they doing it and give you a specific company name, how it's being done, and how much the government is paying to do it.
We like living. We are not going to
spread the news, spread the message, spread the knowledge, spread episode 123 of WD Podcast.
We love living. We are alive.
Not suicidal.
We don't want to go out into a field 30 miles away from our house and shoot ourselves in the chest.
We do not want to Epstein ourselves. We have no desire.
Buy any extension cords. All of our cords plug right into the wall. It's fine.
We don't have a desire to not Epstein ourselves. Because Epstein didn't.
We don't want to be Epstein.
Epstein did not Epstein
We don't want to be
himself.
Epstein. We don't want to be Epstein.
So I don't want to say we don't. You get the picture. The double negatives are throwing me off. You know what we mean.
Before my nose starts bleeding. Moving on to a different topic. You might think it's a lighter topic. I think it's a more morose topic. The main topic of tonight is that the men's national team, USA, the USA national team, USA, all the way, made it to the round of 16 in the World Cup. You might have heard of it.
That's right. Let's give a hearty congratulations before we
let's give a handshake. Let's give a hand clap.
Good job.
Huge. Let's go USA. I'm not going to say I believe because that's the worst fucking chant that I've ever heard ever. And if you start shouting it, I'll punch you in the face.
Good job, gents. Beat those Dutch bastards tomorrow.
Yeah, sons.
We're recording this the day before their round of 16
We'll record it the day after.
So.
They beat the shit out of us. Anyway.
What's that? I hate people who generalize people in the Dutch.
No, hold on. I got it.
I messed it up.
I got it. I got it. There's only two people in this world that I can't stand. People who are intolerant of other people's countries and the Dutch.
Hey, that first one actually ties in with the rest of what we had
how about
to say.
that?
So I like it.
Well, that's the different levels that we do it here. But anyway, so
we usually stumble onto it just like that.
To cut to the chase, Brother Maynard, the men's national team advancing to the round of 16 is no small feat, which was gratified by, or how would you say that?
I'll tell you what, the first thing I thought when it happened, I was like, oh yeah, like they're gonna get like
No, I was
13
talking
million and we should give half of it to the women.
Well, that's weird that you said that, Dave. Because it seemed like
That's exactly what we should do.
The whole time I saw them out on that field, I was like, you know what? I bet the women had something to do with this. Bet they taught them how to do that. Bet they taught that Christian Pulisic how to take a fucking cleat to the left testicle for the country.
For sure.
To move on to the national champion, or to move on to the round of 16. All I'm saying is the men made a lot of money, and then all of a sudden,
and the women made half of all of that money.
They made half of it. And I called you Derry. Dane didn't bury the lead here. See, Dane, Barry Dane. Anyway, Dane didn't bother to bury the lead here. And before they even collected the check, the women already got half of it. It's like divorce court. It's like they had a tumultuous relationship with a child. And now before they even see their first paycheck, half of it goes to the former betrothed and the offspring. But Dane, take it away from here.
So if you're wondering what David and I are talking about, here's the real quick and dirty of what it is. So the U.S. Soccer Federation, which is the overarching body in the United States of both the women's development all the way up to the women's national team and the men's United States national team.
Funny, they never called me.
Is they have a collective bargaining agreement that was signed either last year or the year before after all of the, same play or same pay for same work. We'll get into
we'll get into it.
The ludicrousness of that here in a second. But anyway, the current CBA says that all money that is earned through participation in international play tournaments, such as the World Cup, whether it be the Women's World Cup or the Men's World Cup, any monies earned by those teams goes into a pot. And they're all mixed around in the pot. And then that pot is split evenly down the middle. So when the men made $13 million for advancing to the...
Some might call them the breadwinner.
to the round of 16 of the Men's World Cup. That $13 million goes into the same pot that the women's national team contributed, I don't know, $7 when they won some games at the Women's World
Dane,
Cup. So by my math, the women got $6.5 million of the men's $13 million for doing nothing, and the men got $3.50 of the women's $7 that they earned when the men did nothing. So that's hashtag equality, and that is fairness if I've ever heard it.
No, I know what you're thinking, dear listener. You're thinking, Dave, the World Cup makes the same for men and women. And what I'm going to do right now is ask Dane.
We're going to disabuse you of that notion real quick.
I'm going to ask Dane to Google search what the last World Cup made fiscally for the men, and we'll just see what it stacks up to what the last Women's World Cup amassed overall. I'm not talking about countries per se. I'm talking about the entirety of the World Cup. What did the Men's World Cup gross last time they held it? God damn it. I'm having a tongue-tying night. I'm so sorry, listeners. I'm not fucked up. Probably couldn't walk a straight line, but it'd be pretty close to straight. But what I'm saying is I'm tongue-tied. Just coming over cold. 3 weeks later. Dane, what do we got?
David, you got to keep talking. You got to give me longer than that.
I'll tell you what. Jamie Vernon, you are not. However, I'll posit to you that, albeit FIFA is a dirtier organization, does put on a hell of a show. Despite the fact that this World Cup, and I want it to be known that sales overall and this, that, and the other within the country are allotted probably to the FIFA World Cup, but they aren't even selling beer at this World Cup. And I bet you fucking money it's going to keep right in line with all the rest of the World Cups that have ever been held. Please.
Okay,
Dane,
are you ready?
You are looking at me like you've got some information.
I do. The last Men's World Cup held in Russia in 2018 generated
won by France.
$5.4 billion. $5.4 billion. Okay. The last Women's FIFA World Cup held the following year in 2019. I believe Canada is where that was held. Generated $30 million. For those of you, again, for the second time in this episode, doing quick maths at home, there are 1,000 millions in 1 billion. So there were $970 million times 5.4 more money generated by the Men's World Cup than the Women's. Now, I know what the purple-haired screechers are going to say. They're going to say, but Dane, misogyny. Pump the brakes, okay? Listen, I know there are legions of you brainlets out there that are always talking about misogyny this, misogyny that, equality. So I know there's tons of you. There's a lot of people, both male and female, who really abide by this whole, equal pay, equal work, misogyny, blah, blah, blah bullshit, okay? There's a lot of you out there. With all of your numbers of all of you out there, why isn't there more interest on the women's game?
Yeah.
Why aren't women's jersey sales matching men? Why aren't the viewership for women's games the same as men? Why aren't the ticket sales the same? Hell, I'll do you for free. All you got to do is follow the social media profiles for the women's national team versus the men.
Fuck it.
I'm not even asking you to spend money.
Name 5 of them. Name 5. I'll let you group the WNBA. Name 5 professional soccer teams or professional basketball teams that you're trying to support with your fucking behavior. Name 5 of their teams right now. Put your phone down. Put your fucking phone down. Don't you dare cheat. You can't. That's why. Why do people show up for sports? Who shows up for sports? Geographically, which species or how do I phrase this now? Which cisgender shows up more for sports, please?
Oh, I mean, men, but the point is that men and women in legions follow the men's game and not the women's game. Now, again, those are just the individual preferences of millions and millions of people. Again, I know there's millions and millions of people who are all about this, BS, equal play, equal work, need to da-da-da-da-da. Okay, provide the support. If you tune your eyeballs that you have absolute control over into every single women's national team game, if you go buy tickets and sit your butt in seats, if you go buy jerseys, I guarantee you the advertisers who don't care if you're male, female, or an attack helicopter, they will want your dollars just as much as the next person's. So if you go and turn your interest into this thing that you want to make your crusade of the 21st century, if you put your money where your mouth is, quite literally, the advertisers will soon follow, and then the women's game will grow. It will make more money. The women will make more money, just as the men do. It's simply about interest. That's what it's always about. It is interest.
This is libertarianism.
You do not back up the things that you complain about, and that's why you don't make the money that you think
this is capitalism at its heart. This is why the world works. You have this one sport that you think is very valuable, i.e. women's soccer, and nobody else thinks it's valuable. I hate to break it to you, it's not valuable. When you say 5.9 or 6? 5
for the men?
For the men.
5.4.
And these are numbers. These numbers don't lie. $5.4 billion to watch the men's World Cup. And 30 million
for the women.
For the
Yeah.
women's.
That's how much revenue was generated.
I don't have anything else to say. Like, women aren't supporting women. So stop making this a problem for men. Stop taking it out of a men's pocket, and why don't you women start supporting yourselves for once? That's what I'll say on this podcast. And I know it's conflagratory. I know it's a hot take, but holy fuck. If you want women's sports to grow, maybe women should start getting invested in sports. Oh, what happens when you try to go to a football game with a woman? She's on her phone the whole time. She's not interested. Then why are you trying to sell that to them? Oh, well, it's men's fault. How is it our fault? We tried to introduce them to the sport. And then we also told them within the sport that there's another version of the sport that involves their gender if they identify with it. And you know what they do? They could give a fuck. And you know why men don't want to watch women's sports? Because they aren't as good as men's. Let's be fucking real. Every time a transgender goes over to the other side, they smash every other women's competition. So what you should do is start commercializing yourself and selling yourself to your gender. There's an idea. Stop taking from the men's plate to put on your plate for something that we all know isn't going to get sold. All you're doing is a fucking smash and grab. And if you want to call me a sexist, you want to call me a misogynist, that's fine. But I'll put your name on the line and I'll put my name on the line. Women's soccer, women's National League soccer in this country will not grow more than 20% over the next 2 years. Put your name on it and I'll put my name on it. Let's go right now.
And in terms of that point about viewership, we have from FIFA on both regards, who has a vested interest in making sure there's eyeballs on their events, regardless of male or female, because again, that's what brings in the advertiser dollars. And if you're going to pay the athletes need to put butts in seats and eyeballs on screens. And according to FIFA, in 2018, the Men's World Cup got a viewership of 3.572 billion people. That is literally half of the world's population.
The Super Bowl can't even hold up to that.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a whole nother story because you're only talking about one country.
But I'm going apples to apples. I'm going like the Super Bowl in our country is like the biggest thing ever. This is what, trifecta more?
Way
Quadruple
more. No, way more than that.
Holy fuck. Think about that if you're an American.
Super Bowl is about 517 million, which is half a billion. This is 3.5 billion. And then the women's 2019 World Cup got 1.12 billion viewers across all platforms, again, according to FIFA. So less than a third of what the men got. So if you're just doing straight up, interest from advertisers and money generated, there is no way you could keep the argument even remotely non-laughable by saying that this should be equal pay for equal work, because quite frankly it's not. Just because you're running on the field and kicking a ball doesn't mean that the work is quote unquote equal, because that's not what's purely being looked at when we're talking about dollars and cents. What we're talking about in terms of dollars and cents is interest. Are people watching you kick the ball around the field? You can do it all day long. I can go
This
out.
is coming from a podcast that's fucking in the red. Only 123rd Australian podcast.
I can go out.
We know.
And somebody could hire me to dig a trench with a spoon. Okay? I could be working my ass off sun up to sundown, and then the guy next to me rolls up with a backhoe and in 2 scoops digs out what it took me to do in 3 weeks. Now, should we say equal pay, equal work? Or hell, I'm even working harder than that guy, so I deserve as much money as him. No, he's getting more done. He's more productive. He's getting from point A to point B. He's getting the job done. And when it comes to money, it's just the advertisers are like, are you going to put eyeballs on my product if I pay for a commercial slot? That's it. That's it. That's as simple as it is. There's no misogyny involved in that. There's no patriarchy involved in that. There's no any other sort of scare word of, that runs you out of polite society to explain that. It's simply the interest isn't there. And I know, as I said just a second ago, that there's millions of you out there who feel like this, who think that, oh yeah, it's totally fair that the men get half of the women's $5,000 they generated, but the women get half of the $13 million the men generated. That's totally fair. That's equality. I know there's a lot of you out there that think like that. Well, go to games, buy jerseys, watch the TV when the women are playing.
It's simple.
Until you do, I don't want to hear the complaining anymore.
It's simple. But here's the thing, is indicative of something more egregious in our culture. And I think it all starts with everybody gets 3 at-bats in a baseball game. Nobody keeps score. It all starts with 8 people race and they all get the same sticker no matter where they come in. And that's the problem. I mean, to take it from sports to a macro view of where we're at as a country, we are officially at a point where people do not know what it means to earn a dollar, to the point where people do not know what it means to earn a living, to people that do not know what it means to be an American and a human and to pursue more. Because the same person that won that race all those years ago and was the best in their class got the same reward as Jimmy, who they knew wasn't going to win. He couldn't win, but he got the same reward. So why is he going to work that hard? Vice versa, Jimmy got the same reward as the guy that was really, really good. So why should he be incentivized to work any harder than what he did? We're all being drawn down to baseline, and we think we can bitch and complain as much as we can to get what we are deserved. Well, what does that do to the rest of the bell curve? It drags it the fuck down. That is where we are at right now. That is where you have one side that's just bitching about the other side. And guess what the other side's doing? They're bitching about the other side. No one's moving forward. No one's saying, like, listen, shut the fuck up. I'm going to grab the reins. I'm going to go forward because I know this is how it works. That's what we're teaching our kids right now. You're special because you're not special, but you need to find something that's special about you. No. Do something that is special. That will make you special. Stop telling somebody that you are transgender, vermite, they, them bullshit, and actually go out and do something that makes somebody look at you and go, yeah, you are special. That's good. Instead of just making up your own pronouns and making up your own backstory like some kind of bullshit vigilante that never actually fights crime, just goes out and meets up with the fucking rest of the Avengers. You're Squirrel Girl at this point. Like, I don't care. Like, you have to achieve on ones and zeros. You either won or you lost, period. And that's how we go forward. We cannot abide anymore. And I think Dane has a more poignant point to my point. So sharpen my point, please.
Well, I was just going to say, like, this is the reason why the whole, good times making weak men, that whole cycle, why that is quickly becoming a cliche if it's not already. And as we know about cliches, the reason why they're cliches is because they're repeated so often because there's either they're completely true or there's such a big kernel of truth in it that there's some conventional wisdom there. And, that's exactly what's going on here. We have had, especially in Western societies, we've had it good for so long that we didn't have to struggle against anything from an individual level or a societal level, even more importantly than that, such that we started creating fictitious monsters to slay. There was no real hardship to push back against. And that's not saying that some people don't have it rougher than others. Of course they do. Don't be a disingenuous prick and assert that I'm saying otherwise. What I'm saying is that especially in Western democracies, right, Western Europe and the United States, where a lot of this bullshit flows from, is they don't have the same struggles and haven't had for decades the same that is going on in, I don't know, South America or Africa or Southeast Asia
Iran? Iran? You want to bring up Iran?
Or Qatar.
Fuck.
And so these societies full of a bunch of cushy, comfortable people that have never had to face any adversity, not any real, true adversity or struggle, just looked around and said, I need to challenge myself. So I'm just going to make stuff up for why my life is difficult and why I need to be propped up and supported and why I'm oppressed and all of this junk. And this is the manifestation of it. It is a society on good times making weak men and women. And look at where we're headed now. I mean, the future doesn't look that bright, and it's not due in any small part to this kind of stuff that's going on. It's creating weak, entitled people that don't want to work for anything. They don't feel the need to achieve, because why achieve when the other guy can go do it and you just get half of what he worked for?
Here's the reason, Dane.
That's where we're headed, and it ain't pretty.
Here's the reason, Dane. And it's indicative, and it comes full circle right back to the World Cup. The Iranian team stood up for the women's rights in their country. In this World Cup, they used the World Cup as a platform to tell the rest of the world.
To speak out against real, true oppression.
Correct. And we try to take our LGBTQ, not to call it what it is, but it is, farcical nonsense over there. And they said, stop. Stop right now. You're not doing that. And if you do it, we're going to punish you. And if you do it again, we're going to punish you really hard. And we kowtowed as quickly as possible. We like did our little, we'll do our trainings over here and we'll use it. But when it came time, we totally submitted. That's the whole point. You don't know what true oppression is. You don't know what true equality is. You don't know what true misogyny is until you go over there. If you think communism works, go live in a communistic country. It's right there. There's a plane ticket. You can buy it. You don't like how we're doing things here? Go try it. Socialism works? Go live in the Eastern Bloc of Europe. See how well that works out for you. You have options if you don't agree with this. But what this is a scientific project in freedom. And when you start challenging the values on freedom and saying freedom isn't good enough, we need to enforce slavery. That's a problem. You don't know what true slavery is. You don't know what true slavery is until you've seen it. And I stand with Iran and their protests. 400 protesters are getting executed within this month for standing up for rights that you guys shit on every day. You guys, American women, and us and American men too, we do it. We can see all the American women's flesh all the day. We take it for granted. Oh, it's easy. Whatever. For them, it's life or death. So all your woke ideology, you can't take that across the border, which means it doesn't stand up to any amount of litmus test. So stop making it your fucking hill to die on. Let's make this country work again. Let's go Team USA, and let's beat these Netherlandic pieces of shit tomorrow. That's what I'm saying.
We can say that about them because I'm pretty sure that the Netherlands is predominantly white. So
exactly,
we can say whatever bad things about them we want.
But when we play an African nation, maybe not so much.
Maybe we ought to go out there and try real hard and
fair game that's played equally and sportsmanlike.
But
as well.
For the Dutch, screw those wooden shoe wearing bastards.
Dutch.
Just kidding. If we have any listeners,
if you've stayed
in
this long, God bless you.
If we have any listeners in the Netherlands, we love you. It's all in good fun.
Tongue in cheek, okay?
Go Team USA. Anyway,
so
with that being said,
long misogynistic, idealistic, racist.
Oh yeah, we're toast.
I'm sure I'm going to get canceled for this.
Individually, probably. I don't think they'll kick us off any
How do you
platforms.
cancel the already canceled?
Yeah, I know.
I have to be somebody to cancel me, right?
That's true. Unless they cancel you before that happens, and then you were never anybody to begin with. Funny how that works. Anyway, so you can find this episode on at wndpodcast.com/123. You can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. You can get the videos on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. This is one that can go on YouTube, we think.
We hope.
Despite this last segment, probably
rolling the dice. We didn't say COVID. We didn't say jab. We didn't say nothing.
I mean, we did, but we didn't say anything about it. We just kind of mentioned that it is a word that was in the vocabulary. That was in
the pre-warm-up.
Yeah, but it's still part of the episode. Shush! Stop saying it, David. We've said it too many times already.
COVID's real. It's really...
Anywho. So yes, you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey. You can get in touch with the podcast on other social media platforms. Facebook, Float, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. The Facebook one though, you got to pay for, because again, that is a private Facebook page. If you go to wndpodcast.com, go to the Support Our Work tab, you'll see $5 a month. For that, you get
dirty, sexy,
you get an invite-only invitation to our invite-only Facebook group, where you can talk to us, you can share articles, you can talk to the other people in that particular sane space, you can recommend show topics, we can share memes with each other.
We're trying to start a new segment.
You can do it in there or on Twitter at WMD Podcast. You can tag us in memes and say, please destroy this on the next show. We'll pick the best ones and we'll destroy those on the show. So those are all the places to find us. Thank you for listening. Once again, we hope you had, well, I guess you already got an episode after Thanksgiving. I'm getting my weeks all mixed up. We're closing in on Christmas. It's after Thanksgiving, so now we can put up the tree.
I'm sure we're on our
and the lights guilt-free.
Biden's not nice list.
Biden's
not nice list. There we go. It's harder to say than you think.
With that being said, we look forward to seeing you. Well, no, you will see us and hear us. We look forward to your presence in the ether that is the podcast universe on episode 124 next week.
He went very intrinsic there. I like that. I like that a lot. But more importantly, stay safe, guys. And more importantly, stay free.